Hello everybody and welcome to this slightly random episode of You Don't Need a Hamster, You Need a Therapist. If you can hear weird noises, I'm not lying when I say it's slightly random. The past few weeks I've just had this real feeling of inspiration to talk to you guys about just a few things that I've really come to realise in my life recently. And I had one earlier today and I was like, right, I'm not doing anything, so I'll sit down and record it. Literally sat down, could not make sense of it, could not make heads nor tails of what I was trying to say. And then I was teaching tonight, TAing a class, and I was like, oh my god, on the drive over I was like, yes, I know what I need to say. I only had 15 minutes, so I started recording it, and then I was like, actually I need to go inside, and there were loads of other things that needed my attention. So I'm now sat in my car and I'm just gonna talk, because I think something that I've really come to realise these past few weeks is how important it is to find the joy and the pride in the things that you are doing. You know, I've had an interesting year this year, and obviously we've spoken a little bit on the podcast already about how in February I had a bit of a mental health crisis, and I really hit the lowest of any of my lows. And I think coming out of that, me and my family, me and my mum and my dad, were all quite shaken by it, because I don't think any of us... Oh my god, a fox has just run past my window, guys. Oh, it's got an injured paw. How rogue. I think it's fair to say that me, my mum and my dad were really quite shaken by this, because we did not see it getting to that point. We did not see it coming, and I didn't see it coming, and I didn't know how bad it had gotten until I was on a Tuesday night having to be picked up to be taken home the next day, because I just couldn't handle my emotions anymore. I couldn't handle it. And I think going from someone who has always felt quite self-aware and quite in touch with her emotions and felt like she had a handle on things, I've been through therapy, and I've got my tactics, and I've been through recovery for my eating disorder, and so I've got all of the techniques. And what was interesting, I was speaking to my mum about it, and she was saying it was interesting because I didn't recognise it, because I saw you putting all of your strategies into place, but actually I hadn't realised she's having to put all of her strategies into place just to keep her afloat. And I think that was a really interesting, it was kind of quite eye-opening for me, I felt, because it was that thing of I'd got onto the lifeboat, but the lifeboat isn't built to carry me for my whole journey. That's kind of how I was thinking. I kind of felt like in a shipwreck, you might get on the lifeboat, but you're not then expected to survive on the lifeboat and never get off the lifeboat, and just do the rest of your journey on this tiny boat in the middle of the ocean. That's there to save you, and then something else changes, you get onto another ship, kind of thing. And that really resonated with me when she said it, because I was like, oh my god, I felt that as well. I was like, I feel really on top of it because I'm implementing all of these strategies, and actually what I needed was a change. But all of that to say that after February, I then felt shaken to my core about, am I a mentally stable person, or do I just I was so scared it was going to happen again, and I was like, I don't know how to not be scared, because this felt not that it came out of nowhere, but the kind of explosion of it did come out of nowhere. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. There were loads of things that built up to it, but I didn't know I was going to get to that stage. And so for a couple of months afterwards, I really did not feel secure in myself, and I felt really quite scared, and I don't really know what to do, because I felt like this whole vision of myself that I had of this person who's quite self-aware and knows how to take care of herself had gone. And suddenly I was like, the people who knew about it, I was like, oh no, they think I can't do it anymore, and maybe I can't. And so after a couple of months of feeling like that, in the past month I have really started to find my feet again. And I genuinely am having so many revelations of just rediscovering the strategies and the things that I love. Because that's the other thing. I left drama school. I left my acting course because there were elements of that just weren't working and were contributing to my declining mental health. And that, for anyone who has been through that, that is scary, because this is what you want to do. Like, you want to go and train. And I was very lucky because I'd had my Mount View experience. I knew that it was still what I wanted to do. I knew that it just wasn't the right place. But there was part of me that was like, well, maybe it's just the wrong thing. Maybe I just can't hack the industry, because I've gone to this place, and just because I've not felt that sense of community that I did there, I've gone off the rails. I've gone crazy. I was like, maybe I just can't do it. But actually now, and at the moment, I am in such a good place, and I'm really feeling so much pride and joy almost every day. And it's not constant every day, but I'd say almost every day I'm having a moment of being like, wow, you're really handling this situation differently to how you would have handled it a few months ago. And you're really focusing on yourself, and actually like, wow, you're really noticing that you do love to act. And like, I've literally come back from an acting class, and doing those classes, I find really scary, because I'm like, who on earth thinks that I should be able to teach? And to be fair, I wasn't teaching, I was just TAing. I was just kind of helping out. But I was like, I've come away, I've been like, oh my God, I loved that. And it's that kind of pride I'm feeling really proud of myself at the moment, that I am putting myself forward for things and trying to, put myself into situations that slightly scare me, but also desperately excite me, and see what I like and see what works for me and what doesn't. And I'm really on a journey at the moment to regaining my confidence that I can do these things, and not even just regaining, but gaining confidence in new areas that actually like I can do it, and gaining the confidence to be like, actually to speak up and say, I'm not sure this is going to work for me. And one of the things that I'm really proud of myself for over these past few months has been finding new strategies as well as the old ones, because actually another thing that I have kind of come to realise is that some of my strategies were putting like one of my strategies was putting in really intense organisational elements into my routine and having a really strict routine and keeping myself really, really busy. And that was a distraction technique more than anything. So everything was happening under the surface. Now, what I feel I can do is I can be really busy, and I am really busy, don't get me wrong. I am really busy, but I think one of the things that I've kind of notice within myself is I can feel these negative thoughts coming in, and either I go, I'm going to deal with them now, or I go, do you know what? I'm going to deal with them by acknowledging that they're there, sorting out something that will make me feel better for now, so that when I'm in a better place, I can revisit and be like, why is that way? Why am I feeling that way? One was about my hair the other day. I was having a shocking body image day, and my hair wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and I was just like, do you know what? I stopped, because when you feel like you're about to spiral and you're like, I know this is about to go badly. I knew I was about to spiral, and so I stopped and I went, do you know what? We'll do a slick back bun. That I can easily achieve. It will last the whole day, and I know that I feel like sometimes I feel really good in a slick back bun, but at the lowest point I feel neutral about me in a slick back bun. So I was like, put it in a slick back bun so that you feel good, or at least neutral about your appearance. Put on an outfit that makes you feel good, or at least neutral about your appearance, and let's get on with the day and move on from focusing on it. And then maybe later, when it's not going to make you spiral, we can think about why that's arisen for you, like what that's linked to, was there something in that situation that was triggering you? And I could revisit it, but I didn't let myself spiral. And I just think it's little things like that. I feel really proud of myself. Even I was on the phone to my mum the other day, and I was taking full ownership for a situation that had gone slightly wrong. And it was, you know, I had a big part to play in it. And, you know, everything's a group effort at the end of the day. It takes two to tango. And a lot of the time in different situations, there is not normally one singular person to blame. But I was on the phone to my mum and I went, do you know what, actually, I'm not going to blame this on anyone else because I know I could have done better in that situation. And I stopped and I went, I'm really impressed with my self-awareness there. And I'd done two things in that conversation that made me happy, brought me some joy. And one was taking full responsibility for my actions and for, like, my part in something that had gone wrong. And then, which I could then feel really proud of myself to be like, do you know what? You owned it. And that's all you can do. Like, it's happened. You owned that you did something wrong. We can now move on. And then the other thing was acknowledging, wow, I am proud of myself for that. And I'm impressed with the fact that I handled it that way. And I'm proud of myself for acknowledging that that was the way I responded. And I just feel like slowly but surely I am regaining my confidence. And I'm growing again, where before I felt a bit like I was shrivelling. But it is taking this time, and I've been very lucky because I've made a decision that, you know, before I made it, I did not know if it was going to be the right decision to leave drama school or to leave the drama school that I was at. But every day since I've done it, I have woken up and at some point during the day, I have thought, if I was still there, I wouldn't have learned that about myself, or I'm really glad that I'm able to have this opportunity. Kind of framing it in that positive light is not necessarily always how I think of it, but when I reflect on how I think about it, it's how I like to frame it. Let's be real. Some days I'm going through my day and I think, thank fuck I'm not there anymore. I am so glad I got out because I feel so much happier now. But then when I think about that, I think actually it's the opportunities and the things and then the way that I've chosen to use the time. We will talk about this on another episode, but I've got some exciting changes coming up in my life. But they're big changes and they're exciting, but they're scary changes. And especially for somebody who was not in the best place at the start of the year, the changes that are going to have happened by the end of the year are nerve-wracking, to say the least. But in order to kind of prove to myself that I can do these big scary things, I've really been working on myself. And I just wanted to record this podcast to say to anyone who's going through a rough time, or anyone who is taking time to work on themselves, has had to step away from something that wasn't bringing them joy, that be proud of yourself for how far you've come. There is always something to find that you can be proud of yourself for. I truly believe that. I think in every day there should be one thing that you're proud of yourself for doing, even if it's just, some days for me, it's getting up and brushing my teeth. I do it. I hate it. I can't lie, guys. It is the bane of my existence. That is my task that in a day I think is a really good indicator of how I feel about myself, because on a day where I'm really loving myself, I brush my teeth. On a day where I don't, where I'm not loving myself, that toothbrush is staying on the side and is not being used. Which, do you know what? Dental hygienists, come at me. That's how I feel. That is my truth. And I'm going to live with it and I'm going to own it. But most of the time, if I can get myself to brush my teeth, that can be a thing that I'm proud of in the day. So I think it's just about, lowering the stakes. You don't have to be proud of yourself for running a marathon. And especially with the marathon, it's not just happened. I don't know when you're going to listen to this. I don't know if you're ever going to listen to this. But the thing with the marathon is, and I saw someone on TikTok talking about it, marathons used to be exclusively for ridiculously athletic people. And now they've become a normal thing that people can just do and that people are just doing. And it was a really good reminder to me seeing this video, because she was just like, this is your reminder that you don't have to do this marathon. A marathon does not prove that you are a better person, or, you know, it doesn't have to be, that does not have to be the achievement of all achievements. There are other things in your life that can give you purpose and make you proud of yourself, and that does not need to be a marathon. And that was a really clear reminder, because I hate running, but you best believe whenever the marathon comes up on my TikTok, I'm like, bloody enter me in, I'm gonna do it. No, Millie, you'd actually hate every single second of it. And what's worse is you'd hate every single training session up to it. So that is just like 6 months of your life that you would just not enjoy and you'd be in pain for. But yeah, anyway, I went on a little running tangent then. But no, my thing is if you can find one thing every day that makes you proud of yourself, I think that is one step closer to really understanding yourself and loving yourself, really. And I'm in a really good place, and I wish that for everyone else. And so, yeah, anyway, that's enough of the random episode. I am now going to go home. And yes, we'll see you next week, I imagine, if this is ever going to go out, because this is just a random ramble from me. But yeah, I love you guys. Leave something in the comments that you're proud of this week. And I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.